It says I am live. Hello there. Welcome. Just to check here, if anyone wants to chat in how the sound and video are doing here before we begin. And I am seeing so many. Emma, oh my goodness. How are you? Uh, I'm seeing so many folks, international folks here in this community. Good morning, Nancy and Gwen from Atlanta, and Matcha right here from our own Southern California. Toronto, one of my favorite teachers up there is Elaine Smokler. She's a colleague of mine, and I had a great time in Toronto visiting her one time for a conference. Julie, welcome. Good to have you. And Wendy and Gary and everybody that I haven't had a chance to say hello to. Welcome. Good morning. This is the Center for Mindful Living uh, Sunday morning meditation practice, and my name is Roger. And just before we get started, and I will be announcing this later too, but if any of you are interested, I'm also teaching or leading a daily meditation, and that is at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And if you want information on that, and it's a Zoom link, if you want me to send you that Zoom link, my email address is posted right below me here, right there. So feel free to write me and I will send you that Zoom link. And a number of the folks here today are a member of that particular group. And so we are here. Great. And Jana, nice to see you. Sandy, thank you very much, Sandy, for that. Really appreciate it. Sacramento, all right. So hi, everybody. Welcome. So let's begin. At the risk of being geocentric, this weekend is the Independence Day celebration here in the United States. And of course, these days, and probably in all days, it's fraught with a lot of complications and a lot of difficulties. But I want to put that aside right now and turn toward the Dharma, mainly meaning in this context, at least, the teachings of the Buddha. And the Buddha said that just as all of the great oceans have but one taste, the taste of salt, so too do all of the teachings of the Dharma have but one taste, the taste of freedom. And this is freedom that can arise from not giving into, not reacting to things habitually, not giving into our habitual tendencies toward reaction of fear, anger, clinging, aversion. These will probably always be our natural default movements as humans and based, of course, on our own lives. But when we see things clearly for what they are, which is what we do in these meditation exercises, we see things clearly as they are. That can help us to extricate ourselves, to begin to liberate ourselves from these habitual tendencies. And in the Dharma, it teaches that it's not necessarily the thing that's the problem. The problem is the way we react to the thing, the way we want something to be different than the way it is. And this gives rise to this desire to change something or have something be different. And maybe we can't change it. Maybe this is the way it is for right now. And so when we can move into a little bit of an open-handed acceptance rather than clinging to some result that we think it should be, when we open that tight clinging fist from around that experience, then we create space around that. And in that space is our freedom. Paraphrasing Viktor Frankl, he said that the between stimulus and a response, there is a space. And in that space, we have choice. And so in these meditations, we're actually learning how to open that space wider and wider and wider so that we actually open ourselves up to more choice. And when we have choice, we are freed, we are liberated from a kind of helpless, automatic reaction. Now, in our meditation practices, there will be automatic reactions. There may be a sound that happens during the meditation, and this may be a sound toward which we have aversion. And the mind might throw up a thought that says, I don't like that sound. I wish they would stop making that sound. That sound is bothering me. You hear all the pronouns, I, me, mine, my. When those pronouns start to present themselves, that's a pretty sure sign that we want something to be different than the way it is. And now we're kind of trapped in that automatic reaction. The liberation from the automatic reaction during the meditation practice would be to notice the experience that we're having. Wow, I'm really reactive to that sound. Well, look at all these thoughts. Look at these stories about where the sound came from, the stories about the person who might be making that sound. I may not even know that person, but I have a story about them. These are those automatic tendencies. And when we turn toward them and recognize them and see them for what they are, which are thoughts, then we have an opportunity to open that tight fist and go, wait a minute, this is just a thought. That's just a sound. It's a vibration in the air at a certain frequency, nothing more, nothing less. Certain causes and conditions brought it into being. Causes and conditions will make it end, but it has nothing to do with me. So if I can make it less about myself and become more aware of the experience as it actually is, that is a big first step toward liberation. So why don't we begin in our practice by first of all making sure that we are giving ourselves a choice as to how we sit, how we stand, lie down. You can do walking practice during this exercise if you wish. Any way that works for you is really the way that works best. The eyes can be open, or they can be just gazing downwards, sort of barely open, softly focused toward a blank space, or they can be closed completely. Or if at any time you need to, you can open your eyes to reorient yourself to your surroundings. There will be periods of silence during this practice. I'll try to let you know when those are coming, and then we can just practice together in the silence. So let's begin by getting comfortable in the body, choosing for ourselves a position to be in during this practice that is good for us, good for our body, not trying to prove anything, not trying to reach any particular states or experiences, merely allowing the body to come to rest, which is really the first instruction of these practices, to come to rest. And as we allow our feeling awareness to come to rest in the body, we can become aware of touch points where the body is making contact with a chair or cushion or bed or whatever it may be. And even by simply coming into contact with the touch or pressure of your hips or legs on a chair, just becoming aware of this means you are 100% mindful. You are now resting your attention in the present moment because you are resting your attention in a present moment experience. Perhaps you can notice sensations in the hands. The hands may be touching something or each other, noticing warmth or coolness, the texture of whatever you may be touching. And we can perhaps deepen into the experience of this body, noticing the level or quality of energy that's taking place right now. Perhaps it's a rapid energy, almost like a vibration. Perhaps it's a slow, pulsating, throbbing energy. Or perhaps you experience energy as a kind of flowing, like a river. And whatever it is, it's okay. We're not trying to make it any particular thing. We're just being curious about this experience, investigating it as best we can, being fascinated by it. And even now, there may be judgments. There may be liking or not liking something, wanting or not wanting it. This is normal and to be expected. It's not something we're going to try to get rid of, but simply to notice. When we find ourselves caught in that judging mind, that criticizing mind, this is an opportunity to free ourselves. First, by simply noticing, I'm judging. There's judgment here. And in that moment, you've actually ceased the judging. You have freed yourself. And that's all it takes. As soon as we turn toward the experience, we change our relationship to it. And now we're not reacting from the experience, but rather we are relating to the experience as just another object of attention. Here inside the body, we might encounter tightness or tension. If this is caused by the position that your body is in, adjust it, change it. If there's kind of just a natural pattern of holding or bracing that your body has, turn toward it, allow it to soften and let go as much as it will. And here inside the body, we might also notice the sensations of breathing. Letting the belly be soft, so as we breathe in, the belly expands a little bit. And as we breathe out, the belly releases a little bit. So if feeling the sensations of breathing is comfortable for you, you can rest your feeling awareness in these sensations. Rest your attention here. If feeling the body breathing is not comfortable for you for whatever reason, you can feel your hands resting in your lap or on your legs. This too is a present moment experience, and it will connect you to the present moment. And so let's continue to practice together in a few minutes of silence. as you continue, by now, the mind has probably taken you on a time travel adventure, a daydream. Perhaps it's created a judgment or a preference of some kind, a liking or not liking. And this is not a mistake or a failure. And in fact, the wandering mind, the drifting mind, helps us to learn how to free ourselves, how to liberate ourselves. Because eventually we're going to notice that the attention has drifted. And if it's gone to a place of preference, of judgment, this is an opportunity to open that tight fist and just let whatever it is be, to notice that we're judging. And the wandering mind helps us learn how to become mindful again. Eventually, we will notice the attention has wandered, and in that moment, we are mindful. And we can invite our attention back to that connecting point, that present moment sensory experience that connects us to the present moment. And so we'll continue practicing together during this next longer period of silence. As you continue, some practitioners enjoy applying a soothing, calming, or loving touch to a part of the body, such as a hand or hands resting on the heart center or the belly, or giving oneself a hug across the chest, holding the arms. If any of this calls to you or if it's needed, apply it. Make the practice your own. And as we continue in toward the final moments of this practice, every time you notice that the attention has wandered, that the mind has drifted away, every time you notice that, this is an opportunity to let go of those thoughts, to free yourself from the tyranny of those thoughts, to see them clearly for what they are, thoughts. And so let's practice together now in this final few minutes of silence until the sound of the bell signals the end of this practice exercise. Just as all of the great oceans have but one taste, the taste of salt, so too do all of the teachings of the Dharma have but one taste, the taste of freedom. And so taking as much time as you need to transition from this practice, stretch, get a drink of something, and hello everyone. And here's Donna, Shirley, Karen, Janine, all the wonderful folks from our weekday practice. And just to let you know again that I'm leading a weekday, a daily practice Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And if you would like to get the Zoom link to that meeting, then write me at the email address that you see on your screen under my name, or under my face, I should say, next to my name. And I'd be happy to send you that link. I think tomorrow marks our 79th meeting. We've been doing this since early March, actually, and have quite a nice little group and a loving and welcoming community. So please feel free to drop on in. So what did you notice in that practice, particularly any experiences where you may have gotten caught up in the mind trapped you into something and then you realized it, and in the realizing of it, the trap was opened, you were freed from that mind trap, to quote Elisha Goldstein. So what did you notice in that practice? Or what questions do you have, or confusion, or anything about these practices, or anything at all related to mindfulness? Please feel free to chat that in, and we'll get you taken care of if we can. Well, thank you, Brad. Nice to see you. And Tom, good to see you. I'll see you tomorrow. 79, says Sandy. Thank you. She's keeping track. She's our secretary. Thank you, Sandy. Always love. Thank you. All right. And we've got so many wonderful international people here. Our weekday meeting is pretty international as well. Hey, great. Just calm and no annoying thoughts. Well, that's a nice thing, and so we notice that too. So Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, it's easy to know when you have a toothache because it hurts, right? It's harder to notice when you don't have a toothache because it feels fine. So if you notice that you're not having annoying thoughts, notice that, hey, this is nice, not having annoying thoughts, unless that's an annoying thought. Hey, Wendy, your noisy neighbors. Okay, yeah, no problem. Ended up closing the door so I couldn't hear them and felt better. All right, so there was that judgment about the sound, the noise that was happening. And you can make the choice to close the door, perfectly okay. And another choice could be to just notice the experience you're having with that sound, including the aversion. It doesn't mean it goes away. It just means we notice it. And through that noticing, we're actually freed just a little bit, perhaps, or maybe a lot, from that mind that says this is awful and I have to shut it down and all those things. But Wendy, this is an absolutely normal experience to have. And thank you very much for that comment. So again, just begin to notice the aversion. And the more you notice it, the more space there comes around it. And we also notice that all sound is impermanent. It's an event, and eventually it's going to end. All right, thank you. Good. Glad that was calming, Claire. Thanks so much. And Gwen noticed how tired she is. Great. Thank you. Um, yeah, so Shelley, hello. Good to have you. I now understand the opportunity for recognizing my breath brings me back to now. Yes, the sensations of breathing, the sensations of the hands, sounds, any sensory object can bring you back to the present moment because it's happening in the present moment. And I sometimes call it a connecting point. It's where we connect to the present moment. And so you can use any object. Sensations of breathing is just one. There are many. Anything that you want to use. A lot of judgment about your thoughts. Okay, so Julian, thank you so much for this. This is what we call judging the judge in some ways. That, we have these thoughts and we judge ourselves for having these thoughts. So did you ask for those thoughts, Julian? Jillian, excuse me. Did you ask for those thoughts? Probably not. They came. They came unbidden. And so they are really not something over which we have a lot of control. And because this being didn't ask for that, are they even about me? Are they just something that the mind creates? Jack Kornfield likes to say that the mind creates thoughts the way the mouth creates saliva. It just happens, just secretes. Lana, thank you. Is that Lana? I think it is. Or Iana? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Uh, was liberating. Good. And just by observing your sensations without judgment. And if you do have judgment, and Jillian's saying, no, I didn't create those thoughts, it looks like. And if you do have judgment, notice that. And it becomes like nesting dolls, So you have this big wooden nesting doll, right? Just brightly, gaily painted doll. And you take the top off of it, and there's another one nesting right inside it. And you take that one out. Now it's a little bit smaller. And you take that top off, and you take that top, and you get down to this tiny. Well, in these practices, you just keep going. It's like, whoa, now I'm judging. Oh, here's judgment. And now here's this experience, and here's this experience. So you can just keep deepening into it. CS, hello. And thank you, Wendy. Good to know that was helpful. The online experience has surprising advantages. More easily relaxed without the fear or possibility of deserving others with a cough or squirming, etc. Now, when I teach these classes, or when I used to teach these classes in person, I would get this comment a lot. I didn't want to move because I was afraid I would disturb everybody. I wanted to get up and leave, but I was afraid I would disturb everybody. I didn't want to cough, and on and on and on it goes. And in group practices, we simply use this as an object of attention. In other words, if somebody moves, we notice somebody moved, or there's a sound. What is that? Rustling, banging, crackling, whatever it might be. Squeaking, maybe the chair squeaks. And then we notice that it just becomes an object of attention. So from where I sit, there are no distractions. There are simply things to notice. And that's a very interesting comment, CS, about that. I had never really considered that before. Plus, you're in, hopefully, an environment where you feel safe. There are some places where we go and meditate in groups where sometimes we may not feel at ease. The way the room is, the smells of the room, the lighting, whatever it might be. But when we're in our own space, we can hopefully create a container in which we have a sense of ease. So that is actually a very important thing to notice. Thanks so much for that. I really appreciate that, CS. Aha, and you got an agreement there from Sandy. Hey, Janine. Not being reactive. So Janine's not working on not being reactive to difficult moments. And so my suggestion is not to try to stop the reactions. As John Kabat-Zinn likes to say, somewhat sarcastically, lots of luck on that. They're going to come, right? And the reactions are going to come, because that's how our minds have been deeply grooved. That algorithm is now deeply embedded in our brain. This is how I do this. And what we're trying to do is change that algorithm. And this takes time. So, and it may never ever be changed completely. There will always be reactions. But when we notice, oh, I'm being reactive, you've actually stopped being reactive. So when I say, instead of reacting from an experience, we're respond, or we are uh, relating to the experience. Instead of reacting from the experience, we're relating to the experience. That's what I mean. It changes that relationship. I said that rather rapidly, and I hope that it wasn't too much there, Janine, but thank you so much for that. Shirley did some walking today, walking meditation. That's great, and that you exercised choice. So I'm assuming, Shirley, this is what the body needed today. I stood up for myself. Great. And noticing that that is a different experience than sitting. Sitting is fine. Pardon me, my ear thing has popped out again. Try to fix it. It's gonna make noise. There we go. Okay. Sitting is fine, and sitting still in a meditation is just one way to meditate. Walking meditation, yoga, you know, drinking tea, eating mindfully, looking at a flower, whatever it may be. So find for yourself what you need, and then do that. And then what Shirley got, and this is so great from this, is I stood up for myself. And in exercising that choice, you are standing up for yourself, Shirley. You get that? Yeah, I hope so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, Bobby. Nice to see you too. One of our regulars at the weekday Sangha as well. So good to have you here. Jeanette, welcome. Glad to have you. Lots of anxious thought. And news on in the background. Had to move away. Okay. This is interesting, Jeanette, because sometimes we use the metaphor of a TV on in the other room to describe the way the mind just keeps creating these thoughts, you know? And you literally had that experience going on. The unfortunate thing about the human voice and meditation practice is that the auditory center of the brain that identifies speech is a very strong center of the brain. It's been developed over years so that we can understand human speech, and so that we can uh, do what the human speech tells us to do. It might be telling us to watch out, there's a meteor coming or something like that. And so we have to be able to understand human speech in order to survive. At least that's what that center of the brain is there for. So when human speech is going on in the background, it's very difficult not to get caught up in it. But it is an interesting exercise just to use it as a kind of way of noticing qualities of sound. The quality of human speech. Is it melodic? Does it change pitch? Does it go up and down all the time? Or is it very monotone? Does it just stay at one level? It could be all of those things. It could be high pitched, low pitched, loud, soft, coming from that direction, far away, close. In other words, there are qualities that you can notice about human speech, just like any other sound, but it's one of the more difficult ones. So thank you. And so you made a choice for yourself to move away. And I'm wondering what happened when you did. What happened when you moved away? How was that experience? Karen, hi, good to see you too. Had to let the dog out and did it mindfully and just kept going. Wonderful, fantastic. I'm getting better about letting go of categorizing things like this as distractions. Well, and again, from my seat, there are no distractions. In mindfulness meditation practice, in vipassana practice, everything is contained within that practice. There's no outside the practice. There's only the practice. So letting the dog out is inside the practice. It just becomes part of the practice. And well done on that. That is a nice experience to have, to say, you know what? It doesn't mean that the thing has stopped or I failed or that I have a bad dog. It's just, oh, let's get up and open the door mindfully. Well done. Christine, hello. Good to have you. Um, Struggle with negative thinking during meditation. After being mindful about what is directly caught up. Um, After being mindful about that, I directly get caught up. Oh, okay. So they come back right away, right, Chris? Is that what Christine, you're suggesting? Yes, this happens too. We extricate ourselves, we open the hand, we free ourselves. There's a moment of liberation, a moment of cessation, really. And in the Pali language, cessation is nibbana, and in Sanskrit, it's nirvana. So nirvana or nibbana simply means a cessation from suffering. So in that moment when I open the hand or notice the experience, there's a cessation. And then it might come right back in because that's how habitual it is. That's how deeply grooved that algorithm is in that neural pathway of your brain. Don't expect it to go away. And it comes right back and you go, oh, it's back again. Oh, and here's this reaction to it, or anger or frustration, whatever it might be. Oh, hey, here's another reaction. Now I've extricated myself from it again. I'm free for a moment. Okay, here's how this feels. Make sure that you notice the moment of cessation too. Notice the freedom. And here it is again. Huh. Okay, and then it's just over and over again. But remember, Christine, and this is good for everybody too, that this is just another opportunity to repeat the practice, repeat the practice, repeat the practice. And we're planting seeds and nourishing these seeds, cultivating these seeds through repetition. And so this is just another way. Oh, you're back again. Oh, hey, I get a chance to practice letting go again. It really can be seen as that. And instead of being seen with aversion, we see it as just, oh, thank you. And maybe that gratitude can be helpful too. Thank you. Oh, so wonderful. These you guys, very rich shares that you're having this morning. Really appreciate it. During the practice, what does reflection versus reaction look like? Good question, Julie. Thank you. So reflection versus reaction. So the reaction would be that habitual and automatic experience that we have that follows almost directly, immediately on the heels of a stimulus. So the stimulus could be a sound. Let's take it back to the noisy neighbors for a moment. So there's that sound. The reaction is that, so here's the sound, here's the reaction. It's that immediate experience that happens right on top of it. Reflection is the noticing of that experience. Oh, wow, I just had a big reaction. And when I'm noticing that, you see how the reactive part begins to draw away. Now I'm opening a space where I can reflect even more on it. Oh, notice these sensations I'm having in the body. Look how tense I got. Oh, my hand's making a fist even, or my shoulders are tight. Now I'm reflecting on the physical experience I'm having. Look at all these thoughts I'm having about the neighbors, whatever they might be. And I'm not going to tell you what they might be, but And that's reflection on thoughts. And here's an emotional reaction to it. Ooh, frustration, irritation, fear, sadness, whatever it might be, or joy. If I hear somebody laugh, if I hear a baby laugh, a child laugh, maybe it's joy, but I'm reflecting on that. So the reaction is this thing that immediately follows the stimulus, okay? But what we're trying to do is get that reaction to draw away a little bit by reflection. Hope that's helpful for you. Thanks everybody for sticking around. Colette, good to see you. Oh my goodness. Hello. Welcome. Oh yeah, and here's Just Rex. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name. Thank you. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. That's right. That's a very good way of looking at it. That these things come and they arise like waves, they have their peak, and then like waves, they subside into the shore. You can ride those waves and notice, wow, look at all this happening. And eventually they will actually just by themselves just go away. If we're not pushing against them, if we're not clinging to them, if we're not putting more energy into them. Thank you. Very good. Roger Nolan Therapy at hotmail.com. Well, try it with all lowercase letters, but it should work fine. I'm not seeing any misspelling in there. Remembering, yeah, okay. So thank you, Darren, for letting me know. If you want, you can chat in your email address if you feel comfortable with that, but you don't have to. And I'll do a screen grab, and I'll write you from my email address. Okay, great. Making bread today. Wonderful with your Eichhorn wheat, no doubt, Bobby. All right, everyone. Well, this is where we're going to leave it today. Thank you so much. I'll be back in 2 weeks on the third Sunday of the month, which is my usual slot. Today I'm subbing. So thank you for being here, and have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your holiday if you're here in the United States. And for all of us around the world, may we be safe. May we be healthy and strong. Thank you so much for being here. Bye, everyone. Oh, you want to believe the waves will go away, but I can't imagine it. Yeah, yeah. And all things are impermanent. They do, anything that has a beginning has an ending. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Sandy. Always love. Bye-bye.